Well, the sun's trying to fight its way out over there. It's some degrees above the horizon, just trying to fight its way out. I've got bug repellent on, but I see there's a few bugs hovering around me, horrible things. As the sun trying to fight his way out. So what I wanted to fly now was a home-built plane that I call the UB-2. Now this is built from this, I don't know quite what you'd call it, pink foam, insulating foam, I guess, that you get from the hardware store. I think that is actually the width of the sheet, the width of the wing. I think, I don't remember the exact size of the sheet, and as you can see, there's like about 5 thicknesses of it at the front of the fuselage. The fuselage and the wing are both built from it, but the tail and the control surfaces are built from dollar store foam. He's, in many ways, perhaps, see the undercarriage might be coming a little loose there, but mainly, in many ways, he's perhaps the most solid, the tail wheel's in a groove there as well, perhaps the most solid home-built plane I've built. You know, this stuff at least is very solid. His weakness may be his power system, which is, it's a geared power system, which is brushless, but it's a sort of weird geared power system, which is, I don't know, not necessarily the best. I do have the transmitter set to the right model.
Throttle cut off. Throttle cut off.
And we got throttle cut on. So the battery, I don't know, I guess there was supposed to be Velcro down there, and it's kind of come off a bit. It has been a while since I flew this guy. And this battery's got the wrong Velcro on it. Maybe I can switch to a battery that has the right type of Velcro on. I think this one is. It's the same type of battery, but it's got, rather than having to put different Velcro on. Of course, that Velcro keeps getting it to go. It's going to be difficult to get the battery to go in there, really. We'll see where that puts the center of gravity in a minute. Get the wires in there. I might need to, maybe I should put a bit more bug repellent on, because these bugs are really starting to fly around me, and if bugs are flying up your nose while you're trying to fly, sorry, but it's, you know, it's just a real, it is really unhelpful if bugs are trying to fly up your nose as you're trying to fly, which I have quite often experienced. Who knows? Okay, where is the center of gravity on this guy? Well, that looks pretty reasonable. Yeah, that looks pretty reasonable. I don't actually have a mark on that. It looks pretty reasonable. Let's just check the control. Ooh. Well, the rudder's way the heck out. And what happened to the rudder that it's so far out of trim? It's going the right way, but it's way out of trim. Yeah, everything's going the right way. I'm a bit concerned about the rudder being that far out of trim. I don't think the rod is loose. Well, you know, maybe the rod is loose a bit. Oh. I think the rod is a bit loose on the rudder, and I don't know. I may not have the right tool to fix that. Well, this is not the right tool, but it might work. I don't know. Oh. Oh no. Rats. No, I don't think we can fly him today. The grub screw seems to have come out of the screw, the retaining screw. It's actually not even a grub screw. The retaining screws come out of the rudder, so there's no rudder control. And I'm not going to have a little screw like that here. Oh well. Well, I stole a screw out of one of the servos of the quick stick, which was still in the car. Now I'm a bit hot and bothered from all the struggling with that, though. It was a devil of a job to get that little screw in, because I don't have the right tools here either. I don't have any tweezers, I don't even have the right screwdriver. So I was just using like a 5-in-1 tool with pliers and things to get this little screw into the little hole. But I'm reasonably confident that it is in fact in tight now, and we do have rudder control. Of course, one of the servos of the quick stick is now missing, and everything will need to be checked when we get home, but okay. We need to retrim the rudder again. I put the trim in the middle, connected the yeah, that's pretty firm now. I put the trim in the middle, connected the rod as close to the center as I could, but it came a bit off center because of the struggling with the screw. I had a heck of a struggle to get that screw in, because it's a tiny little screw, and I didn't even have a proper screwdriver. I was just using a blade on a multi-tool and whatever. Anyway, so now let's try and see if we can put this onboard camera on. We turn it on. It's now on. So then another press on the power button that looks as if it turns it off should start it recording. I think that's recording. We live in hopes. Well, anyway, it's given the mist a bit of a chance to clear and the sun a bit more chance to come up.
Throttle cut off. Throttle cut on.
In case people are wondering, the reason I do that is to double check that the throttle cut is on before I get hold of the plane. So I think somebody asked me why I do that. I take it off and put it on again, so then I'm absolutely sure, both, you know, from the voice feedback from the transmitter and everything, that the throttle cut is on before I pick the plane up, because I don't want to get hit by the propeller. No, I don't have my transmitter strap on. I was wondering if it was possible to tilt that camera down a bit more, because it's tilted up more than I like, but it's hard to do. It's under rubber bands and under a bunch of tape. It may look very kludge the way I attach these cameras, but there is a certain art to it. I'm trying to make sure, you know, that they, as much as possible, they won't vibrate, and that if that they've got a couple of different restraining systems, so if one gives way, I won't lose the camera. There's still something else holding the camera on. Now, we'll see. As I say, I think the weakness of this plane tends to be the power system, which is, well, I think it was supposed to be rated for a plane of this weight, but it seems to struggle a bit. It's running off a 220 milliamp hour 3-cell. I'm sorry, I often use the wrong word. But
Throttle cut off.
noisy thing, but I mean, you know. Whoa, got a lot of lift. It's a noisy motor, but it's geared, you know, so a lot of that's just the gearing. It's not really surprising that a geared motor like that would make a fair amount of noise. Now, of course, I've got to be careful that I don't go and blind myself with the sun. Now, whether you'd say this plane is ugly or pretty depends on your sensibilities, I suppose. Actually, the UB2 in its name, the UB stands for ugly bee, but anyway. Because I know the things I build tend to be ugly. I don't build for cosmetics. I'm still going too near the sun.
Time remaining 7 minutes.
yeah, I don't know how meaningful that is either. You know, you set a timer in the transmitter, but and then I try to adjust them by checking the battery after it comes in. You know, I check whether I fly it for a certain number of minutes and see how much voltage I've got left in the battery. But then again, I haven't flown this one for a while, so I don't remember. I'm pretty sure I would have set that timer for a 2200 milliamp hour. Will he loop? Not really, not with that much power anyway. I think actually he will loop, but I probably need to gain a bit more altitude and maybe dive him first. He's not got a lot of power, for sure. Nope, doesn't seem to want to loop even then. Maybe I haven't looped him. I'm not sure that I've ever tried to loop this guy. He doesn't seem to really want to loop even.
6 minutes.
Which is probably a sign he doesn't have enough power, really. No, he's not going to loop, is he? I mean, he'll just about come up, but he won't go over. I don't think. So we'll throttle back. He does not glide either. You cut the power, he comes down pretty darn fast. I would not want to dead stick land this guy because he's a bit heavy. He's a bit heavy, and maybe he could do with his center of gravity being a bit further back. I cut the power, and he doesn't like stall hopelessly or whatever, but he heads down to the ground rather fast. Bit disappointing, not a very impressive, less impressive than I thought. It's like the guy in Monty Python who's been building a model of the cunty sark in the dark, and then he wakes up and he's just got a bundle of sticks, and he says, oh dear, it's not as accurate. Bugs, despite putting more bug spray on this, bugs are still attacking me. It's not as accurate as I thought. This is not as successful as I thought. I mean, it flies, but it clearly doesn't have enough power to perform sensibly. It's you know, it can get around reasonably, and I don't feel any control problems basically, but I can't even by diving it under power, I can't get it to go through a loop. Oh, these bugs are really getting up my nose now. I mean, it's so annoying. And I put DEET on right before I did this. Well, right before I started struggling with the rudder. We also seem to be running out of power now. The power seems to be decreasing. We never had much power, and we're getting even less as the battery comes down. So I think we'd better come in to land now. As I say, he does tend to... He's quite a heavy, so... Not that heavy. He's a bit heavy with one thing and another between the undercarriage and whatever. So he does tend to... because he's got a solid aluminium rods in his undercarriage and whatever. So he does tend to drop rather sharply when you cut the power. He doesn't have much ability to glide and float and whatever. He's not one of these planes that will just float when you cut the power. He drops. He drops when you cut the power. Well, there you go. An ugly thing, but my own. It does fly, but I thought I could loop this, but you know, my memory, I don't remember. It appears not right now anyway, with this battery and whatever. He did not. I tried a couple of times. Whoops. What? Oh, get out of it. Hitting some button I didn't mean to hit on the transmitter with my thumb. Knuckle, actually, not my thumb, but anyway. So now, we press the power button on this thing again, and we think that will stop the recording. Yes, I think it will. So there you go. A bit of an ugly bugger. Flies okay, but I'm just trying to... That's pretty warm, that motor. That's not so hot that burns my hand that I can't keep it on there, but it's pretty warm. It's got a heat sink on it. But it's pretty warm, that motor. It's barely got enough power. What's the propeller? No, well, that's in millimeters. Now get out of it, which I can never understand for these. 11 by 4.7. 11 by 4.7 the propeller is, and this is some sort of a Hitec, I think, power system. Yep, it's a Hitec geared power system, but really, sadly, less than adequate for you know, good performance. But he flies.